everybody, every day about this time, it starts to do this. It clouds up and we have a storm. I'm Kaye. I'm here on my Tennessee homestead. Welcome to my channel. Let's go inside and talk about what's on everybody's mind, the weather. Come on, get in the house. Come on, it's storm time. Get in the house. Come on, come on, come on. Thank you for coming home. Yeah, come on. I know it's gonna be another storm. I need to get you inside. Well, here we are inside, and I just wanted to go over some things since my last video about extreme weather events, which a lot of people responded to. And certainly it's happening here, although I am getting rain and so many people in other areas of the country are not getting any rain. So I am getting a garden, but it's challenging. Half of my tomatoes are splitting and so forth. But in the past 10 days, we've had in the past 10 days, 200-year or greater rainfall events. In the past 10 days. Now, if you follow Ryan Hall, y'all, that's the name of his channel, Ryan Hall, was just reporting on this today. There's going to be another big storm today hitting northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. And I honestly do not know how the farmers, the Midwest farmers, are managing with so much extreme weather. Just a few other headlines. Australia hits 123 degrees, tying the highest temperature on record in the southern hemisphere. Now this was back in, I think that was earlier in the year. Yeah. June 2022 was the hottest June in Houston history. Japan tops 104 degrees for the first time in June amid record heat wave. And of course, Japan, if you just saw, had an earthquake and massive flooding. Commuters stranded in rush hour chaos and warnings of thunderstorms into the night. How Britain carried on after hottest day on record. You just experienced the Brazos Valley's hottest July on record. I believe that's Texas because that's KBTX TV station. Yeah, so you see we have really gotten nailed with a lot of severe weather events. So what are we going to do about it? Let's talk about it. From the beginning of agriculture, the weather is the #1 factor in whether you get a crop. Somebody had mentioned to me the Texas Boys YouTube channel, and they have a great channel, and they're raising cattle in Texas, obviously. And I just saw a headline. I haven't seen the video, but he goes, my cattle are starving. You know, they can't afford to feed them. There's no water, and they can't afford to feed them. You know, the hay is very expensive. The grass is burned up because there's no rain. In California, well, California's affected from Lake Mead. That's a huge source of their Southern California water. Lake Mead is record lows, historical. And my neighbor was just here yesterday, and he was saying, it doesn't rain here anymore. It just storms. So that's what's happening. It's like, I'm starting to feel like I live in Florida. I remember living in Florida when I was 22, I think, for about 9 months. And, you know, you could expect that during the afternoon, there would be a certain time where, you know, all that atmospheric pressure would just build up, and then it would just come a storm. And just like it's just done, lightning and thunder and dump a bunch of rain and go away. And then it would be beautiful and the air would be clear and all of that. It doesn't really work that way here. because we don't have the ocean breeze. You know, there's multiple reasons that it's happening, and, you know, we're naive to think that there's just one particular thing that's going on that's causing it. You know, lightning strikes are intensifying. The one near the White House recently killed 3 people. I mean, that's just insane. So gardeners and farmers, what do? Do we start gardening in a controlled environment? The people that have written me are all talking about how they're just hanging on, trying to get their gardens through this heat wave this year. And I'm thinking, well, what is our long-term plan? And because what if we have a heat wave next year, or storms, or whatever, hail? You know, I fortunately haven't experienced that here, but there's no reason why I won't experience it. You know, if we consider a controlled environment like you know, like Danny at Deep South Homestead has 2 hoop houses. They're incredible, and I really wish I had one. But, you know, between heat, exposure to UV, we need protection from the solar winds, from the effects of solar winds. So, you know, it begs the question, how long are we going to be able to fight these extremes, and how are we going to do it? Because we can't give up. We have to keep raising our own food, especially with, you know, food systems being crushed all over the planet. I have to think about, for me, I have 5,000 square feet down there. That's going to be my main best garden. It's already proven to have the best soil. It's got the best sun. It's producing the most produce. And it's as good as it's going to look right now, because I can already see, you know, some yellowing of certain of the plant's leaves. You know, the squash only looks beautiful for like a week. You know, it's covered in leaves. I noticed this morning there's starting to be some yellowing on some of the watermelon leaves. You know, what happens in those leaves when they start to turn yellow is they stop, you know, getting that sunlight and sending that energy into the fruit. And it's sort of just like a wasted leaf that's taking up energy, but it's not providing any energy to the fruit itself. So possibly I need to prune some leaves away. But the point is, right now, it just looks like a sea of green, and it's just awesome. But I feel like it's an embarrassment of riches, because so many people are struggling and have no water, and their gardens are just burning up, especially Texas. Oh my goodness. We need a strategic view of foods necessary for survival. So, for example, I was just thinking about this morning. Okay, what would I do differently in my garden below if I really had to focus on foods for survival? I mean, you can live on potatoes. I know it's a nightshade. Nightshades have a tendency to cause inflammation in some people. So nightshades aren't the best things to eat, but they can keep you alive. So do other root vegetables, beets and sweet potatoes and carrots. What are we going to grow for long-term survival and sustainability? And of course we have to focus on crop rotation. If we have a roof over our head and we have irrigation, we can do crop rotation. We can expand our seasons. You know, we can grow in a smaller space, but expand our seasons, so expand our produce, expand our product. And I was thinking, what would I do differently next year? What could I produce down there that would be even more productive, keep people alive, be something I could sell or barter? And I was thinking, well, I have those rows of Egyptian spinach plants, which look fantastic. But nobody around here would even know what that is. Understandably, I didn't know what it was when I was introduced to it in Phoenix. Now it's time to start preserving the harvest. And you know, there are different ways to do that, from dehydrating to freezing, canning, and just drying the peas and storing them, like I'm doing here. So I have shelled all of these peas. And this just happens to be a pizza pan that has a bunch of holes all in the bottom, and I thought, well, that's good because, oops, it's so full now, it's easy to spill. But this will give a little air from below and air from above, and I'm just going to gently stir these seeds, you know, to kind of move them around, because some of them were really drier than others, and you want them very dry before you store them in jars. And the way I did them last year is I stored them in half-gallon, I have 2 half-gallon jars of those, and I used a big oxygen absorber and stuck that in there. But anyway, it's time now with things coming in, you've got to very quickly change gears from working on the garden and tending the garden and maintaining and weeding and all. I mean, I was so obsessed with weeding there for like weeks. And now it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You know, so these tomatoes, this is what's left of the harvest, the tomatoes that you saw in my recent video. Because, you know, if they have even one little spot on them, then it starts going bad. So right now, this is all I have that's left that's good. And what I plan to do is roast all these with basil and sliced onions and olive oil, and then I'm going to process that. That's the plan for these, and I have more in the kitchen, of course. So that's the question. Is I was thinking about what would I change out? What would I change in my, what would you change in your garden? You know, like Daryl, my friend, says, always try something new, you know. Grow what you know is going to grow well, and then try something new. Well, I put a lot of square feet into Egyptian spinach, not thinking about what I would do with it because I didn't know if it would even do well. Well, now I have at least 20 bushes that are this big, you know, and I'm going, okay, well, if I just start using a few leaves in veggie scrambles, I'm not even going to work my way through one plant. Meanwhile, you can't sell a leaf because you know as soon as you clip a leaf, it wilts, and then nobody is going to be attracted to that. So I was watching, because I'm trying to learn from other people on YouTube, and I was looking at Purposeful Pantry, Darcy, this morning, and she had a really good tip on one of her videos about wearing a metal mesh glove to keep from cutting your hand. And you know, I've seen them before, but I had never bought one. I've never used one, and I can't even count the number of times I've scraped off my knuckles with the grater or sliced my finger. And so as soon as I saw that, I immediately ordered it. But she also put me in mind, and also Stacy, I suppose everyone's doing it, is dehydrating your greens and turning it into green powder. And this is what I thought I'm going to do with my Egyptian spinach. And I have to research it, but that's my plan. That's my plan as of today. If that works out, then I would grow it again. If not, then I would grow something else that, you know, is more life-sustaining in that section. And so, what are your thoughts? What would you change? What would you do differently in your garden if, say for example, if next year goes the same way? Are you going to be planning before next year to put in a cover, a greenhouse, hoop house, whatever? I have wanted one for a long time, and it just hasn't happened. My eyes are really itching today, I'm sorry. I wanted to mention, I'm sounding a little hoarse, and the reason is, you know, there's many health benefits to black seed oil. And I don't know if you've ever tried it, but if you do try it, I suggest that you take the capsules, because it's a very hot oil, and it's made from black cumin seed. I have taken it before, I've taken a teaspoon before, just by itself and swallowed it and not had a problem. But boy, yesterday it just went down. I guess I hadn't had anything to eat, so there was no coating on the back of my tongue, and it burned it. So I have been having a little bit of a throat thing ever since. So I'm a little bit hoarse. Black seed oil was actually mentioned in the Bible, the Quran, and it was in King Tut's tomb. This is anecdotal. I heard this. Do your own research. But I know it's just like honey. I mean, honey's been used as medicine for 4,000 years. Yeah, unfortunately today with the drought, the cattlemen are selling off their cattle because there's no water. They're lining up and they can't get rid of them fast enough. Now, how does that affect all of us who eat meat, who enjoy eating meat? We'll have a lot of meat this year if the slaughterhouses can get to all this product. But then what? There are forces at work that are driving this big picture, and they want us, we're going to talk about this in another video because I did some research today and I want to share it with you, but they want us eating crickets, okay? And somebody said to me the other day, who's they? Okay, well, it's the forces at work, and it's hard to point to a particular handful of people, but let's just call them Mr. Global or Mrs. Global. Mr. and Mrs. Global. Catherine Austin Fitz calls them Mr. Global. The forces at work. And I guarantee you they are not going to be eating crickets. They're going to be eating prime rib from grass-fed beef. So anyway, everybody, here's just some things to think about. We need to be thinking long-term sustainability, no matter how big your garden is. If you're just in an apartment and you're growing on your balcony, can you put a little greenhouse out there? Do you need to provide shelter for your plants? You see, my poor citrus are just they're literally being blown over every single day. I have to pick those pots up. Yes, I could buy a heavy clay pot to put them in that wouldn't blow over so easily, but those citrus, if I don't get a greenhouse, they're going to have to come in this room this winter. One thing I suggested in my last video for people who say, I don't have anybody to help me, I can't do anything, I'm living on Social Security, I can't stock up, and I said that at least you can start figuring out who can help you. How can you be of service to someone else, or how can they be of service to you? Would they be of service to you? Reach out. Go to your various support systems in your town, whether it's a food bank or a community center. Your neighbors, obviously your neighbors. A lot of people don't have family anymore. So you have to reach out to your neighbors. Maybe you have some young neighbors that would be of assistance to you if you get into a bad situation where you don't have power or you don't have food or water, and they can help you out. I have connected with some young neighbors just down from me, and he's in construction, so we're going to do a couple of small projects, and if that goes well, he just calls them like weekend projects. So he's going to start by replacing some sections of the support beams in my shop, the roof of my shop, that are rotted. Just see, what's happening with our economy and our money situation in September and October, and see if I can move on to other projects, or if I'm going to have to tighten the belt even tighter. So anyway, I hope I've given you some things to think about and move forward on for next season. And if you are interested in my journey here, I hope you subscribe to my channel, hit that bell for notifications, scroll down and click all so you won't miss anything. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Kaye, and I'll see you in the next one.